From Prairie Lodge, this is the Sun City Report, a program to keep you up to date on what's happening in Sun City, Huntley. Your host is your fellow Sun City resident, WGN's Orion Samuelson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our summer edition of Sun City Report. I'm your neighbor, Orion Samuelson, and I'm sort of the traffic cop here as we go from one guest to another, but we're going to start today by talking to a police officer as we talk about events and activities that affect your life and mine here in the Sun City community. So I'm delighted to welcome to our Sun City Report Sergeant Mike Hewitt of the Huntley Police Department. Sergeant Mike, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And I think it might be interesting to find out how many are on the force and how many would be on patrol. And you were telling me how you sort of divide your responsibility.
The village is actually divided into 4 zones, and in those 4 zones, each sergeant has a specific zone. Mine is currently Sun City, and the next zone would be Kreutzer Road to Main Street, and then Main Street to Algonquin, and Algonquin to the northern boundaries. Being a zone sergeant, you're responsible for the needs of your zone and the citizen and community needs, but you also are supervising all the officers that are on the street. And there's a zone sergeant for each zone, so that would be 4 sergeants. At any given time, we have at least 3 to 5 officers on patrol. We try to maintain a 4 officer, so 1 officer is also assigned to a zone as they have responsibilities to the zone sergeants and handle the calls.
And do you have a set schedule of patrols in Sun City, for example, or do you sort of stagger the times and the places?
We work 12-hour shifts currently, and during the 12-hour shift, the officers are assigned to their zones. Now, should a call come up and that officer be down, say, in Area 1, my zone, Sun City, if another call comes up, we'll pull from another zone to keep the level of service available to the community.
One of the current concerns in Sun City, those break-ins. Can you bring us up to date on what's happening there?
Since basically April of 2011, we've had approximately 15 burglaries or attempted burglaries, primarily all during the daytime, usually during the week, and they've not really followed a set pattern per se. They've occurred on just about every day of the week. They're usually forcing the front doors during the daytime, and they're in and out rather quickly, and primary focus seems to be cash and jewelry. They're going basically undetected. Recently, we've obtained some evidence that suggests that the individuals are an organized crime group out of the Chicago metropolitan area. And we've been working with other agencies in northern Illinois and targeting this group and trying to observe things. And I'm happy to say that we have had no break-ins since May. And I think a lot of it has been a more heightened awareness that the citizens have been involved. They've called 911 more frequently than they used to. They're more vigilant on calling in suspicious activity. And Neighborhood Watch has really taken off quite a bit. There's approximately 45 neighborhoods in Sun City.
Right.
And out of that, we have probably about 45% have up and established Neighborhood Watch programs with a coordinator, block captains calling trees. And so I have blast emails that I can send out to the coordinators to keep them up to date on any activity that's happened, and then they disperse that information throughout the community.
There are times when I've seen a pickup truck or a car in a neighbor's driveway that I haven't seen there before. Is it wise to give you a call when you see that? Or?
We advocate call 911 on anything that's suspicious, and probably the most important thing that I cannot stress enough is they need to meet with the officers. The neighbors are familiar with the vehicles and the people in their neighborhood, and they know what doesn't stand out. Those things are not necessarily obvious to us as we drive by. I mean, we drive by, we see a vehicle on the street. If it has plates, it's not stolen, legally parked, there's really no justification for us to look any further into that. So it's really paramount that the residents please meet with the officers and explain their concerns, because then that leads the officer to investigate a little bit further than merely running the plates and checking if it's not stolen.
So it could be a widespread burglary ring that's working several communities besides ours.
Oh, absolutely. From when I say the Chicago metropolitan area, everywhere from northern Illinois, the counties that surround it, we've all experienced basically the same thing. And our investigations division has been working in conjunction with other investigation agencies, and we've utilized the Northern Illinois Crime Lab, of which membership we have too, which expedites a lot more of the processing of the crime scene rather than sending it to like the State Police Crime Lab.
So let's talk about traffic, and I do want to commend you because I went to a one-room 8th grade country school in Wisconsin, and I learned that STOP means stop.
Yes.
Not slow down, not roll through, it means stop. And when I see a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, I set cruise control. But not everybody does. What kind of tips can you give on safer driving?
Probably the most important is speed causes a lot of the accidents around this area, Sun City, and paying attention is probably more important. The construction zones, and we have obviously a lot of construction around Area 1 right now, and with the Route 47 widening, we launched a couple programs, not necessarily in Zone 1, but through the construction zones, where we did enforcement of cell phones. Cell phone driving and texting while driving is a huge cause for crashes. It's distracted, there's workers, there's a lot of activities, the lane change configurations are often different. So paying attention to your surroundings, and I know just on traveling on 47 now with the interchange,
Right.
there's been multiple times throughout the day that the lanes have changed within the lanes. And to be vigilant and observant of that, and obviously they post the construction speed limit signs, you could go even slower to just maintain safety.
Now, something I have to ask, because I'm leaving Sun City at 3:30 in the morning. There are no construction workers out there.
Yes.
But if you see me doing 40 miles an hour or 45 in a 35-mile construction zone, it's still a ticket offense.
That is still a ticketable offense.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if their workers are present. They want to maintain that safety in those zones due to all that. So the speed limit maintains the same whether the workers are present or not.
What's the most challenging thing that your officers have to deal with? Is there one thing that they get called on more than any other?
Traffic-related issues are a lot of it. We've experienced road rage incidences have went up a little bit. Domestic violence is probably one of our more frequent calls. Domestic disputes and trying to resolve those issues.
And finally, I'm curious to know, when you have vacancies, where do you go to find new officers, or are there a lot of people waiting to do that?
We currently have a list established. I'm not sure the exact amount that are on the list, but our list we test we contract it out, and they have the physical agility, written test, psychological, polygraph exams, and those sorts of things, and then they're ranked on a criteria, and they're also given bonus points for military.
Okay.
So our list goes out, and it's established, and it stays for 2 years.
I've enjoyed the opportunity to visit with you, sir, and I only want to do it this way, not out on the street with you and flashing lights behind me, okay?
Very good, Mr. Samuelson.
Okay. A visit with Sergeant Mike Hewitt, who is the officer in charge of the Sun City area. And we talked a little bit about construction. We're going to talk a lot more about construction because Dave Johnson, the manager of the Village of Huntley, will be joining us in a moment. So stay with us right here on this summer edition of your Sun City Report.
This has been the Sun City Report. Your host has been WGN's Orion Samuelson.